like blue, cause I'm not really sad, just in a weird mood. I am a color. It's not envy or jealousy, so I can't be green. I am a color. I'm a little bit scared, but
Hi everyone!
Hi everybody!
Hello! I am Philo.
And I am Ngwedi.
Dabi
Kabelo.
And we
together
are... Wow, that was such an epic film! Together! Welcome to our YouTube channel. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. Pew, 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 pew. Today, as you can see, we've got guests. We've decided on request to talk about premarital counseling, but very specific things in premarital counseling. And we've invited our friends, Dabi Kabelo of Dabi Kabelo. Follow them, watch their videos, like, subscribe, comment, listen. We are talking premarital counseling, and exactly what are we talking about? Who's gonna start? Oh, rock, paper, scissors. Let's rock, paper, scissors. Cool.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors. So I crashed that. Oh, but you Yeah, you guys.
Wait.
Oh,
you cut both of us.
I cut both
oh,
of them.
wow. So you get to decide who starts. I don't know.
No, I cut both of them and they
So you-
and they
and
combined.
You crushed.
So I got it.
Yes.
Okay, so am I starting?
But you crushed her
So-
scissors.
But you crushed my scissors.
So then I choose who starts. I'm the winner.
No,
I'm the winner.
no.
They covered. Two people covered.
Yeah, you got covered.
It's a mess.
So rock, paper, scissors, you've just learned this for a game for 2 people. Not for 4.
Today we'll be talking about the importance of premarital counseling, and often it's a topic that's overlooked. So we just want to, re-emphasize how important it is. From my point, I feel that it opens up conversations between couples.
Yes.
There's certain things that when you're dating, you don't usually talk about. But when you are really with a couple, with professional people, they actually help you ease into conversation, into reality. Because most of the time, it's like we're living in a fairy tale. We think that it's going to be smooth and everything, but guys.
Definitely. I mean, Dabi mentioned earlier that, kumalauding haonyalwa, hakana haonyala, kana hale nyalana. Molaudi will not allow you to get married without the actual pre-counseling. And I think one of the really important things in premarital counseling is that it prepares you for the practicalities of navigating marriage. The actual act of marriage is a signing of a contract between two people. It's the meaning that we give to it that matters really a lot. And a lot of times we are not conscious or intentional when we go into it. This is my favorite thing to talk about, is chores. How we want to and that's a practical thing. Like, it's the smallest thing.
I know.
But it's so practical.
And it also helps to prepare you for marriage and not the actual wedding day.
Yes.
Because a lot of people get excited and they feel like I'm getting married, and then they forget horror. When you actually get married, the work is during the marriage, not wedding day when you're all looking good and pretty and people are taking pictures.
8 hours, the selfie.
Yes, and you're smiling for everything, But there's actually a lot of work that goes into it. Yes.
I mean,
That's
if we're all honest, we all do this wedding thing for our parents.
Yes. Listen.
Sorry, mom.
Listen.
Yo, we love you folks.
It's the truth.
It's
Facts
the
on
truth.
it, babe. Facts on it. Come through with the receipts.
Yeah, and speaking of, the wedding and preparing
Yes.
for the wedding and stuff, one of the vital points about premarital counseling is that it actually prepares you to know whether or not you should get married. Are you at a mental state to get married at that point? Are you sure that this is the person you're supposed to be with? And we've actually heard that there's been couples who've gone to premarital counseling and then realized, whoa,
This is not it for
this
us.
is not as fast. And some of them have revisited it later on, and then some of them just went their separate ways. But there's so much pressure sometimes from society and people that, no, you two have to get married. Been together for a long time, you have to get married. Premarital counseling kind of just lifts the veil.
So I'm thinking, just to your point, T, that then maybe premarital counseling is not something you embark on after deciding to get married, but as you deciding or thinking about whether or not to get married.
Yes, exactly.
So we are going to talk about 4 different topics that we think are really critical to cover in your premarital counseling, whether it's with your counselors from whatever religious background you're from, whether it's your pastors, whether it's your elders, whether you're going to do it with a therapist, whether you're going to do it individually. These are 4 things we really think you should think about before getting married and talk about at premarital counseling.
One of the topic that was very important for me was religion. I come from a Christian home, and I knew the first question my parents would ask, what's an agaragade? I had to be with someone the one and believes in God, and but also a believer because your parents are going to church. And also there's this scripture, 2 Corinthians something that we should not be unevenly yoked. So that scripture really speaks to me, because like
I learned, I think it was last year, somebody said it's so difficult to cook 2 pots for the same home. And for me that was like a great translation of, you can't be unevenly yoked in the same home scripture.
Also for me, I don't want a situation whereby I go to church and he drops me off, go get a game, and I Sunday soccer. I didn't want that. So it was very important for us to grow in the Lord. And if you are both in the same setup and you believe in the same thing, your values are the same. And our counselors, they were from church, they really emphasized that, and it worked for us. You know what a brother G got us.
God got you, yeah.
Well, one of the other topics that I'll throw into the mix is expectations, because we all have expectations. We go into marriage, we go into any sort of relationship with expectations. Expectations of how you expect this person to behave, what they must wear, and this is one of my favorites, how they will be after the wedding day. There's that expectation that as soon as I say I do, it's gonna fix this and this and that I don't currently agree with this person on. One of the great things about premarital counseling, it helps you to honestly talk through those expectations, and to not even lower expectations, but to the best of your capabilities to remove those expectations. The reality is there's a person here who has their own personality, they have their own flaws and what have you, and you may have an idea or expectations of how they could be better or how they are ideal for you. And we learned in premarital counseling that those expectations, actually if you take them away, you then leave room for acceptance of that person. There's also external expectations from friends, from families that are like, you guys have been together for long, so therefore you must get married. And after you get married, you have to live in this kind of house. You have to make kids as soon as possible.
Live this kind of life.
Live this kind of life. You have to
this
get
kind of food.
Exactly.
You have to get a car. You have to forgo going to work using public transport. You know.
Because exactly.
Yes. What about something when we were talking? How we were raised. It's actually important that we bring it up in this conversation, because we are different. We are raised differently, come from totally different backgrounds. She was from a more Christian home. I was raised by my grandmother most of my time when I was a kid, and I only learned to live with my parents when I was doing primary. Being raised from that background and transitioning to living with your parents and getting to know them better. There was a time when we lived with both our parents and with one parent around because of the work separation. I have a lot of memories where I would share dinner with my parents and have dinner with my brother and my mom there, and it really brought about the importance of being in a family. Unlike when you are just living with one parent and the other parent is not there, you don't actually learn how to balance the relationships you have with both your parents. So with her, she had the privilege to live with both parents or to be raised by both parents. So she brings something different. She would tell me stories about how they would go on family trips. I would tell her, like, I went to Morocco with my grandfather. It's not the same. We understand each other, with those different kinds of dynamics. To say that, okay, this is how you were raised, it's actually cool. I was raised differently, but I think it's kind of cool. And I don't think my life sometimes is not as cool as her life. We make our own rules in our marriage. We make our own, how do you say it in Kalanga?
So
So it's actually refreshing to say that, you know, somebody with a different background can actually complement you with a different background, and you can actually make magic.
I think just to add on to what he just said. For me, when we started, I'm like, no, it doesn't matter where you work. I don't understand. So now can I say? And he was insisting that, you know what, if you find work elsewhere, I'll rather quit.
Wow.
Because I cannot be in marriage with you. So why? Until he later explained, no, it's because I didn't grow up in the setup, and so I don't want my kids to grow up in that same setup.
You know, I find it so interesting that Kabelo used the word privilege when he was explaining, you know, your background. I mean, so backgrounds are definitely important, right? But I think they're important also for the appreciation, because all families are so valid. I mean, if a person grew up in a single family household, it's so valid. For me, I grew up in a family where my parents hardly were ever in the same country or even, you know, place or region in the country, even if they were in the same country at the same time. And my experience from it, or what I picked up from it, was that the more that they were apart, the fonder they were of each other. And I experienced that fondness whenever they would come together. And it kind of inspired for me that thing of, oh my God, they go apart, they go and they grow themselves, they go out of their way to get an education all the time. And they come back, you know, and somebody comes back having learned so much more, having grown, having changed so much more, and they bring that into the home. It was quite inspiring for me. It's quite interesting that, you know, we'll have similar backgrounds, but that, you know, our experience and our takeaway from it is so different. It affects how we come into the marriage and how we come into a relationship.
In terms of understanding somebody's background, if you don't understand where that person has been, you won't understand where your marriage is going. Me understanding how well she was raised was actually one of the things that attracted me to her.
Yes.
Because I was like, oh, this is so nice. I want that kind of person in my life, so that they can, you know, complement some of the things that I missed, or that I felt that I missed when I was growing up.
I think another topic, my favorite topic, let me just warn you.
Kids go to bed.
Listen.
Or not.
My favorite topic at premarital counseling, I won't even lie. The time we walked into that room and they were like, what are your expectations? I said, I want to talk about sex. We had called it intimacy earlier, and I do not even want to like gloss over it and make it pretty. Listen, we have to talk about sex. It's so important. You know, talking back to expectations, people come into marriage having such expectations, oh, the sex will be glorious. I think it's so important to talk about sex, whatever your sexual background is, right? Whether you come in having had sex prior to marriage or having waited for marriage, it's important that at premarital counseling you discuss sex in the context of marriage, because it's completely different. The realities are so different, and they're so vast. You're not even scared of getting caught, babes. Like, it's amazing. But you have to discuss how you're going to keep it amazing, how you're going to sustain it, because sex for different people represents different things. For some people it opens them up. For some people it's the place where they're most vulnerable. For some people it's the thing that relaxes them the most. 5 things that you have to definitely discuss is the first one, be curious about each other's preferences. Even if you come into it with your virginity, even if you come into it having never given yourself to another person, or even if you come into it having had sex previously, you've got preferences. You've got things that you're curious about. You've got things that, you know, you like. And I think that it's something that's definitely has to be spoken about at premarital counseling, but it's a conversation that has to also continue even during the marriage. You know, what do you like? How do you like it? Do you like it when I do this? Do you like it when I do it like that? Secondly, what turns your partner on? What turns me on? So I've got to know what turns me on, so that if the touching my ear doesn't, I have to say, bruv, listen. Hold up. That's where it's at. Yeah, you have to discuss it, and you have to also educate your partner about how to please you, right? And that comes from that discussion about turn-ons and turn-offs. And then be compassionate. You know, we come into experience of being together with our own past and our own histories and our own thoughts and our own reservations about what sex will be like in the context of marriage. Some people come into it thinking, oh my goodness, same guy all the time. Or some people come into it thinking, am I even going to be able to please this woman that I'm with? Am I even going to please this person? Right? So we have to be compassionate, and we have to make it like really, really an open discussion. And we found that premarital counseling kind of anchored that and carried that theme out for us. It made it very comfortable. You have to talk outside the bedroom. And that's why I keep saying, and I say to a lot of couples that we discuss premarital counseling with, that when you're already in the bedroom, the pressure is there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's other things that build up to what happens in the bedroom or on the couch or in the car, wherever it is, like this, wherever it happens. But there's the stuff that builds up to that, right? For some people, it's, listen, when you come into the kitchen and I am cooking and you just kind of hold me, you know, that does the thing, you know? Or, or like if you buy me flowers, that starts that conversation internally for me, you know what I mean? But there has to be that talk outside the bedroom about what happens in the bedroom, because then it makes sex a little bit more comfortable. There's no pressure. You're not naked already about to do it and somebody says, yeah, but you know, when you do that thing, it's like a little bit uncomfortable, or I would like this leading up to that. And then finally, figure out your couple preferences, right? What do you collectively like to do? You know, what do you like to do with each other? Together, what is it that you like to do leading up to or during or even after sex that will sustain it? You know, and this keeps changing. I mean, as an individual, as you keep evolving, as you keep discovering new things in your body or about your body, there are a lot of, you know, conversations that you have to have with your partner. And hey, dog, bon. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but this was my favorite topic because it was one of the most uncomfortable for the both of us.
I think it's very uncomfortable, especially when you are being cancelled by
Yes.
You don't know how to freely express yourself. You are reserved, and you're just like,
yeah. In terms of our country, in the context of our country, where 2/3 of the women in our country have been violated sexually. And so a lot of people who get married come into marriage with that history of sexual aggression or sex being used as a power play against them. And that conversation happening before marriage, I think, kind of lays a foundation of open communication of this thing that was used to violate me, but now which I want to learn to enjoy with you as my partner. Do you know what I mean?
That actually leads me to how unpacking it even before the marriage. You know now that there's this thing, because everyone comes with their own pain, they come with their own baggage, right? But now that it's there and it's open beforehand, you can make an informed decision, or you can also know that we're going to do this together. And the healing process, and this is a myth that we need to get out of the way. Marriage doesn't fix everything.
No.
It does not fix. It's not like
it in fact amplifies
exactly.
Stuff.
If you guys were fighting about something, you're still
10 times.
It's gonna be amplified. So if you go into marriage knowing this about each other, you know to exercise patience a bit more, to be more compassionate a bit more as you go into marriage. Also knowing that I was expecting that as soon as you got married, everything's gonna fix itself. But now you know the beginning of marriage may be a healing time for us and so forth.
I think in kind of rounding up, you know, and referring back to the things that we spoke about as some of the 4 important reasons to go into premarital counseling. And one of the ones that came up was it prepares you for marriage, right? And not for the wedding day. And also another point that came up is that it determines whether or not you even want to get married. You think about this person comes with this background. Am I able to accommodate it? Am I able to tolerate it? Am I able to hold the space for them to recover and heal from their past? You know what I mean? Am I able to deliver? Do you know what I mean? My favorite. Am I going to be able to uphold and agree with her in terms of our spirituality and our religious backgrounds? You know, our expectations realistic.
So I think this is the end of part 1.
Yes, the 2-part series.
Be sure to watch part 2 on Dabi and Kabelo's channel.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
Keep doing the right thing.
The liking.
Subscribe. Comment.
Share.
Yes.
Ring that notification bell.
Yes. And let us know what you think. What do you think about premarital counseling?
Yes.
And what we've just said. All right.